Good morning. Welcome to the First Religious Society, Unitarian Universalist in Newburyport, Massachusetts. My name is Tina Bennick, and I have the privilege of serving as your worship associate this morning. If you are joining us for the first time, welcome. We are glad you're here. If you are new and you would like to connect, please fill out one of the blue cards in your pew and put it in the collection plate when that comes around. We come together at FRS, in person and online, committed to love, peace, and justice. Our mission and our invitation to all of you is to come as you are, journey together in love, act with courage, transform our world. If you are worshiping online and would like to access this morning's order of service, please click on the link just below the live stream. If you'd like a large print order of service or hymnal, please ask one of the ushers and they will be happy to help you. Please take a moment to review your order of service for all the activities happening this week. In particular, I'd like to highlight that today is both our service and our annual meeting. And as we did last year, it's a combined effort of both of those things. The work we do today at our annual meeting will help us shape our next 300 years. It's both a privilege and a responsibility that we as members get to participate in shaping this future. We are glad you're here to help us do that work. Also, after the service and the meeting, come join us in the parish hall for our 300th birthday party. We will serve lunch and cake. We are also delighted to have Julie Parker Amory here with us today. As many of you know, Julie worked at FRS for more than 2 decades, nurturing and ministering to our young children and teens, and as we know, forever changing their lives for the better. Julie was also our first director of faith formation and spiritual exploration. We are so glad to have her with us today. You'll hear more from her at the party. Every Sunday, it is such a blessing that we can gather. So let us give ourselves to it. Welcome once again. It is good to be together.
As we enter into worship, may we acknowledge that our church stands, and we stand virtually today, on the traditional and ancestral land of the Pennacook people. Pennacook, also called Merrimack, means bottom of the hill. We honor that the spirit and therefore the heart of this land is your land, Cowasac Band of the Pennacook Abenaki people.
Thank you, Julie. Our call to worship this morning are words to a familiar hymn, answering the call of love. And I think that words are important, but actions are even more so. And we certainly just did answer that call of love. We'd ordered those stickers for Pride that we handed out, and they fortuitously came late. And we had ordered 100, and we ran out. So that is a good sign, and we will order more, because I know we skipped some of you. So. The promise of the Spirit: faith, hope, and love abide. And so every soul is blessed and made whole. The truth in our hearts is our guide. Sometimes we build a barrier to keep love tightly bound, corrupted by fear, unwilling to hear, denying the truth that we found. A bright new day is dawning when love will not divide. Reflections of grace in every embrace, fulfilling the vision divine. We are answering the call of love. And we're going to sing a hymn in a minute, but I have a gift. If I can have you stand up with me for our dear Reverend Rebecca. So not only is she the first woman who served here in 300 years, we are now the first pair of women. And we are the first pair of ministers this church has ever had, because when you had an assistant minister, the senior minister was not actually present. So this is a big deal, right? I say that, but he wasn't here. So I made you a gift to thank you, because it takes a lot of courage to make space. Because making space for another minister is actually kind of a risky thing, right? Because, like, how's it going to be? So in gratitude to you, I made you this gift, which I'm going to have you open. Okay, I'm going to open it. This is a stole. One side is based on the cover of her book. And the other side is a line from a South African anti-apartheid song, which says, "Courage, my friends, you do not walk alone."
Breathe, Reverend Rebecca.
Did you cry out?
Okay, yeah. You know what? Ministers can cry.
Yeah.
I also wanted to note, it's so ironic that you did this, because I was thinking with Julie here, with Tina here, with Reverend Laurel here, that, I mean, it only took 300 years, right?
And now let's sing a song. It's number 1008 in the Teal hymnal, "When Your Heart is in a Holy Place."
Please be seated. Parish board.
Please join in saying our chalice lighting words as Tina lights the candle, lights the chalice, excuse me. The words can be found in your order of service. We gather this hour as people of faith with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning, in celebration of the life we share together.
I just wanted to take this moment, since we have everyone except Jeff Bard, who is camping, I think, in Wisconsin. We have in front of you our current board, 3 of whom are stepping off of their terms and 3 who are joining. Can you please join me in thanking them for their leadership and care? It is an act of service to serve on the board here. Each week, we also light 2 candles of peace, representing 2 places on earth that need peace. And as we say each time we gather, we know that there are untold numbers of places on earth that need peace. So these 2 we will hold in our hearts through this service and through the week and summer ahead. The first candle this morning is lit for the space where we just gathered out in front of this church. A gathering of community members, elected officials, members, and friends. Friends from other churches, friends who don't go to church, but those who believe in the power of love and community, who show up on a moment's notice to say to each and every person, in this instance, members of the LGBTQIA+ community, you are not alone. Please join peace in 3 languages. Peace, salam, shalom. And our second candle this morning is lit both for this place where we are gathered here in this sanctuary, a place of diversity, a place that is online, a place that is here in body, a place of those who have gone before us in blessed memory, a place where all are holy, where we work together for the transforming power of love, committed to peace, justice, and inclusivity. To this we respond, peace, salam, shalom. Let's rise again in body or in spirit and join our voices in our affirmation of faith, followed by the doxology. The words are in your order of service. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humankind in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other and with God. Please be seated.
The generosity of this community is an essential ministry that supports not only the work of this beloved congregation, but the work of communities in Newburyport beyond the sanctuary. Each week, 50% of the Sunday offering not designated as a pledge goes to a local community partner engaged in important efforts to transform our region. And appropriately, our community partner this month is Newburyport Pride, which unites, educates, and engages people to support and empower the LGBT+ community and our allies with a focus on inclusion. They work to educate the wider community on diversity topics in order to build a stronger and healthier and kinder society. They do this by facilitating LGBTQ+ Pride events that inspire, commemorate, and celebrate our diverse community through unity and visibility. To give online, please use the link in your order of service or below the live stream. You can also make a contribution by text, and of course, you can always mail a check to the church. Thank you, as always. Your offering will now be gratefully received.
Tis a gift to be simple, tis a gift to be free, tis a gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, we'll be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed. To turn will be our delight, till by turning we come round right. 'Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be free, 'tis a gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, we'll be in the valley of love and delight. 'Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be free, 'tis a gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, we'll be in the valley of love and delight. 'Tis a gift to be gained, 'tis to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed. And turn ourselves in the place our delight, till by turning the valley of love round right. 'Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be free, 'tis a gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, we'll be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed. To turn will be our delight, till by turning we come round right.
Thank you, choir. This is a time in our service where we pause to lift up the joys and the sorrows, the hopes and the concerns of our beloved faith community. Andy Lobb, our pastoral care associate, will light candles as I read what has been shared with me in advance of today's service. You can always send a joy or a sorrow to betweenus@frsuu.org. So let us gather.
Open my heart to be a sanctuary, all made holy, loved and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living
This morning we light a candle of sorrow and blessed memory. Reverend Jane Toohey asks that we do so for her dog, Winnie. She shares, and I'll read her words, "My dog, Winnie, whom I had to put down a week ago. Winnie was my constant companion, a source of great joy and comfort, and a teacher of unconditional love, patience, and forgiveness. I know many of my sisters, brothers, and siblings in this beloved congregation have gone through this particular form of grief. To love is to be human. To be human is to suffer. But oh, how the joy brought by our dear animals outweighs the grief." And she wishes to thank all who have sent messages of care. We also light a candle of care and concern. Stan Barrett and Leslie Lawrence ask for our prayers for their dear friend, Andy Robinson, and his wife, Diane. Andy is very near the end of his life after a struggle of several years with dementia and a shorter time with leukemia. He is in hospice care in a skilled nursing facility in Claremont, New Hampshire. Andy's strength and spiritual depth, they say, has been a support to several spiritual groups and many individuals, not least those he served as a volunteer EMT. And we light a candle of love and thanksgiving and hope for the church year that is drawing near to close, marking the passages of time and seasons. We light it for all that has transpired, for the joys, the frustrations, the sorrows, and the dreams made manifest. And we light one final candle, as we do each week, for all of the joys and all of the sorrows, all of the hopes and the dreams that, although unspoken, are held in just as much love and care. Join me now in a moment of prayer, meditation, contemplation. In a moment, we will be remembering those who have died during this church year, July 2024, until this day, 2025. But as is a custom among secular and sacred traditions, allow us to make ourselves open. Allow us to make room for forgiveness, for mercy, for love. For to be human is to err, to make mistakes, to fall short, to act in ways we wish had been different. And though this is often something that is shared with another, in this moment I invite us in community to bring to our minds and our hearts something for which we seek forgiveness. And perhaps more than one person, situation is coming to mind. Just allow these all to enter. And in your heart and mind, say what it is you need to say to that person, people, situation. And as we make amends in the best way possible, let us do so with gratitude, with humility, with an understanding that all fall, and all have the potential always for renewal. So take a moment to count the gifts and the blessings in your life. Count them by your attention in this moment. Each of you is a blessing. So I'll be coming down to the chancel with Julie Parker Amory, and we will state the names, lighting candles, and remembering those who have died this year. Read in the chronological order of their death. Barbara Owen, Director of Church Music here at FRS from 1964 until 2002, died October 14th, 2024. Maxine Steves, died November 13th, 2024. Jay McCarthy, died January 18th, 2025. Nathan Wilbur, died February 4th, 2025. Ted Bailey, died May 18th, 2025. And Roberta Coffey, died May 23rd, 2025. We light this candle for all those friends of this community, relatives of our members and friends, friends that we never may have met, but who we hold in blessed memory together. May the legacy of these lives live on in the life and the future of this beloved congregation. Amen. Hello, dear friends, again. I didn't get to say what I say each week, which is so good to be together. It is always good to be together. Before I share a brief reflection, I wanted to make sure that I took a moment to thank our amazing staff team all of whom I believe are here, and because they're not written down, I always get nervous, but I'm looking at Reverend Laurel, I'm looking at Nick, I'm looking at Donnie, I know Diane is over there, and Mara is probably with our children downstairs. We have our newest staff, or member Elisa, who is back there. This team of committed, joy-filled, honest, hardworking people are what makes this all possible together with you. For we are in a shared ministry, so let us thank and acknowledge each and every one of them together now. You can stand up. Thank you, and let's make sure we tell Mara what that rousing applause was all about. So, what's a minister to say at the end of a church year? Do we recap the changes and challenges of the year? Reflect upon the strategic plan? Do we comfort or do we challenge? Perennial questions before all ministers every day. Really, it's a question for everyone, including all of us. Do we comfort or do we challenge? Is this a time to resist or to rest? To bathe or work harder? Is this a time when you need someone to hold your hand or tell you a hard truth? Or both, often. Life is like that. To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted. A time to end and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. A time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to get and a time to lose. A time to keep and a time to cast away. A time to rend and a time to sow. A time to keep silence and a time to speak. A time to love and a time to be angry. A time of discord and a time of peace. Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verses 1 to 8, with a few words modified. Life is cyclical. As the author of Ecclesiastes writes, theologians, scientists, and naturalists write and study this all the time. Catholic priest and radical truth teller Richard Rohr describes this cycle as order, disorder, reorder. Again and again and again. And yet many of us think, oh, this is it. Now, I've got it. And are surprised when things change. In plants, we witness new growth, brilliant blooms, and dying away, only to come again in the next year. The First Religious Society Unitarian Universalist in Newburyport, Massachusetts, here celebrating 300 years, is in what I call bloom time. This is a time where much is going well. Changes we have worked so hard for together are succeeding. Love is present and palpable, like we felt out there, like we feel in here, like we know is downstairs. It is present and palpable in our actions and most of our words. There's energy in the building here day and night, 7 days a week. It is rare that I can find a time alone in this church. And I mean that's 7 a.m. on a Saturday or 9 p.m. on a Tuesday. There are people here. Friends gathering for recovery meetings. People holding meetings, practicing. The community coming to see this sanctuary. Refugees celebrating graduation in their home yesterday. There's energy in this building, this beloved old building, day and night, in the sanctuary and meeting rooms and parish hall. We are blooming. This bloom time is what I wanted to reflect upon for just a couple of minutes. And yes, as always, this message applies to our church and to every one of us in our own lives. So, dare you think I'm ever just talking about church? Here, as a community, we are blooming. Some of that is grace, meaning unearned gifts. Much of it is a result of determined and faithful work toward goals. Think of your own life. Are you in a time of bloom? Or disorder? Or making anew? And where you are, whether it is in blooming or coming apart or starting anew, think of the gifts that came to make that possible. The things, the people, the grace that entered. And then remember all of the determined and faithful work you've done in your own lives, as we have in this church. And yes, FRS is blooming even as the horrors of the current administration continue. I do not take that lightly. We are engaged and resisting in many ways, and still we are in bloom. So I have 3 reflections or things to say about times like this, times when all or most is going well. And again, you may or may not be there in your own life, but think back to other times, or these truths apply to all those 3 phases. What I'm about to say in brief is both when things are being planted, when new is happening, both when things are they're flourishing, and when things are dying away. Think of the spring, the summer, the fall, and winter. First, and I'm asking a lot because I'm asking you to think about your own life and the church, so you can pick one if you'd like. If you focus on your own life right now, I ask that you listen to this portion again on YouTube and think about FRS as it applies to you. First, we're in bloom time and it will change. Our blooming time will not always look and feel this way. We will find ourselves needing to reorder. We don't exactly know when. It may be due to unexpected challenges or unavoidable losses. We will be in times of confusion or grief, or simply a bit off the mark. Bloom times change. They always do. And then that change will change, and so on. So this time we are in will change. Therefore, my second reflection is, don't miss it. Be awake. It will change. Don't take it for granted. Notice it. Look not so much at the thorns or the dirt tracked in. Look at the gifts. Feel the gifts. Receive the gifts. Give the gifts. This is a time of plenty. It will change. Think of your own life. Were there times when the plenty was there and at later dates you thought, why didn't I notice? Don't miss this bloom time. Stay awake. Third, and finally, is to use the power and the energy in bloom time, in summer, in strength, for good. For that energy, the energy we feel here, the collective goodness, it is not meant to be harbored or held. It is meant to be given and shared for good in the world, like we did this morning. That's how you harness that power. You allow it to replenish and restore you, and you bring it into the world because it is so needed. It is good and healing power. It's a natural outcome at this time. Use it for good. Do not hoard it or wait for another day. When we look at Parish Hall, use our success for good in the world. It's about so much more than us individually or even collectively. This kind of good energy is desperately needed in this world. If you are in a time of needing care or you're feeling lonely, ask for some of this power of love to be used to love you, as only church can do. Use the power of blooming for good. Each of us is in a different phase in our lives, some blooming, some planting, some realizing what has been lost. It is normal. It will change. All seasons have their gifts. So may we treasure the seasons of our lives, individually and collectively, knowing it is all temporary. May we notice the gifts of each season, and may we use its power for good. Always. Amen. Happy summer, my dear friends. Things here are looking to be humming all summer long. When I first came here and we started doing things in the summer, and some of the longer time members said, well, why are we doing that? We used to kind of close. And now I'm saying, why are we doing all this summer? I thought we used to take some time off. Anyway, wherever you go this summer, stop in now and then, any day, for you're going to find life here. And may your summer be all you wish for and hope for. So let's rise in body or spirit and join in our closing hymn, Answering the Call of Love. And I don't have the number.
Number 1014.
Thank you, Nick.
The promise of the Spirit, faith, hope, and love abide. So every soul is blessed and made whole. The truth in our hearts is our guide. We are answering the call of love. Hands joined together as hearts beat as one, emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim, we are answering the call of love. Sometimes we build a barrier to keep love tightly bound, corrupted by fear, unwilling to hear, denying the beauty we found. We are answering the call of love. Hands joined together as hearts beat as one, emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim we are
Thank you. You may be seated.
I'll call our State Senator, Bruce Tarr, to the podium, who has a special message for us. Thank you. Welcome. Yeah, be close to them.
Well, thank you very much, Madam Moderator. It was an honor to be asked to be with you this morning to begin with. I am particularly grateful that this moment in time brings us together on this day. I very rarely need a microphone. I'm particularly honored to be here this day, a time that calls for us to be in unity and together and faithful and strong. Because when darkness came yesterday, it was overcome by light today. And while I just caught the very tail end of the line of love that extended from the front of this sanctuary, it reminded me that love and light today overcame the darkness, as it always will. And it reminded me that if you take a prism and you bend light, what you see are all colors coming together to illuminate the world. And that's what happened in front of this church this morning. I am honored to be able to bring you resolutions from the Massachusetts State Senate to recognize 300 years of this church. And many would ask, how does something endure for 300 years? The answer to that question came in the message that called us to the front of this church today. 3 basic things: love, inclusivity, and peace. That is what has endured for 300 years. And with God's grace, may it always be so. These are resolutions celebrating the 300th anniversary of the First Religious Society of the City of Newburyport. And they read as follows, and there are a few whereases, so I will take deep breaths accordingly. And remind you that that does not mean that I have stopped. Whereas the First Religious Society was founded in 1725 as the third parish society in the city of Newburyport, then known as the town of Newbury. And whereas in 1801 the First Religious Society constructed a church building that is still in use today and is widely recognized by architectural historians as a classic example of the Federalist style that flourished in New England around the turn of the 19th century. And whereas located in a historic coastal community with a rich and evolving maritime heritage, the First Religious Society has been led by 17 ministers over its long history, including its current minister, Reverend Rebecca M. Bryan, the congregation's first settled female minister. And notably, Thomas Wentworth Higginson, who later joined abolitionist forces with William Lloyd Garrison of the city of Newburyport and other prominent abolitionists. And whereas in 2021, the First Religious Society converted its parish hall into a home for an Afghan family of 11 who arrived in the United States as humanitarian parolees. And whereas the First Religious Society is known as a welcoming congregation, guided by a core principle of fostering spiritual, moral, and intellectual growth for all who enter its doors, now therefore be it resolved that the Massachusetts Senate hereby extends its congratulations to the First Religious Society of the City of Newburyport on its 300th anniversary. And be it further resolved that a copy of these resolutions be transmitted forthwith by the Clerk of the Senate to the First Religious Society of the City of Newburyport. These are signed, well, first of all, they were adopted on June 5th of 2025, signed by Karen E. Spilka, the President of the Massachusetts State Senate, attested by Michael Hurley, the clerk of the Massachusetts State Senate, and offered by one very proud state senator, Bruce E. Tarr, for what you represent, what you stand for, the light in the world that you bring, and the inspiration that comes from the values that you celebrate in this congregation. These resolutions were adopted by a unanimous vote of the Massachusetts Senate, and they now become part of the permanent record of our state Senate. And so it should be. An amazing institution, 300 years of history, joined now through this document with the history of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, with a permanent record of this celebration of your 300th anniversary. Reverend Brian, Reverend Gray, congregants, congratulations. A remarkable history based in principle, fostered by love, and offering the way forward even still for the next 300 years. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Senator Tarr. Yes?
So before we close, I want to remind everyone, I know some of you are eager, to make sure you stop at one of the, they're all the same. So these posters at which there'll be a person to answer questions and help are all the same, and that's where you rank the priorities that you actually gave us last year. Some of you are new and perhaps didn't participate, and the world has changed. So, but just so you know, these are your voices that are up on these posters. We also will have a birthday party, we'll have cake, we're going to have a bell ringing, so there's going to be a rope across those same bricks where we stood in a line of love. We're going to hear from Julie Parker Amory and have a lot of fun. There's one final update I wanted to give everybody as well. One of the purpose of one of our special meetings was to vote on funding and fixing the steeple lights, right? So how quickly some of us forget. It's like childbirth. It's like, but we did that, and with only 3 lights remaining to be installed this week, they are fixed. So yay. I really want to thank the Hale Foundation. They were generous in making this happen. All of you trusted and believed in us as a congregation, and we're ready to find ways to make that happen. And the Hale Foundation did indeed financially make that happen. The facilities team has done a remarkable amount of work all year on many things, and also the grants team. And with the lights, of course, Nick Place, who served as the interim, which will be concluding June 30th, facilities director, but Scott Clark is ensuring that these lights are being done well, and that everything is according to the contract. So great news for all of us, and thank you all who've been working on that. So we'll be moving now into our unison benediction and a blessing. Before we formally adjourn, remembering that love is the doctrine of this church, that it is our work and our joy and our spirituality that we create together. So please rise in body or in spirit, and let's join in the unison benediction as Reverend Laurel extinguishes the chalice. May the love which overcomes all differences, which heals all wounds, which puts to flight all fears, which reconciles all who are separated, be in us us and among us, now and always. I know, my friends, that there are other things we have forgotten to share. Please forgive us if we have forgotten your name, forgotten thanks. Know that you are all so deeply appreciated, and that each and every one of you is what it is together that makes up our church. So we're so glad that you are all here. And though some of you seem to think you want me to go on sabbatical this year, it's actually next June. But if enough of you keep asking, I'll ask the board if it could be a little earlier. It's next June. I'm here this year. So, my friends, as we prepare to depart from this meeting, this worship service, this gathering of new friends and old, honoring the history and co-creating the future of this beloved spiritual community committed to love, inclusivity, peace, and justice. May the minds and the hearts of those gathered here, both in body and online, be blessed. May they find peace. May they know that they belong. May they know joy. May they be compassionate. May they be inspired. And may they go in peace and return again in great joy. Amen and blessed be.